Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Bufnagle the podcast, where we explore entertaining and enlightening discussions of the adventure of life and all things good. From science and technology to history and philosophy to leadership and success. We hope to give you a better understanding of the world and skills for everyone to pursue their own adventure.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome back to Bufnagle, the podcast, where we talk about all things good in the pursuit of the adventure of life. I am Rafe, and since it's a wonderful Tuesday, it's a wonderful Tuesday to be doing a podcast with you, and I get to do a podcast with somebody that is a big brain smarthead that has been on the show before, so that will be a great thing. Another great thing is the great listeners we have. You have made us a global top 10% podcast. As usual, you can reach us at bufnagle@bufnagle.com. Remember, share the love, share the buff, give us a 5-star review, subscribe, hit like, hit the smiley star, hit the, throw the dart at the wall and then use that for your phone. Whatever you want to do, hit the buttons to make my life better, and that will make your life better. Remember, tell a friend to listen, and you will get a free episode, and somewhere buried in the show notes, if you look carefully, you can find a link to buy me a coffee. Today's big brain smarthead has been on the show before a couple months ago discussing horses and life skills, coaching and such things. But this time, since it is autumn in the Midwest, my sister Maura has a wonderful bit of news to share. There's something fascinating happening at your house. Do you want to, it's butterfly season.
It is butterfly season. It is monarch butterfly season. Yes, that's the exciting thing in the Midwest right now.
Okay, so here's how this started out. She sent me this thing, and it was like, "Hey, I have some monarch butterflies." This is how she sounds when she's talking, of course, right? I have some monarch butterflies on my milkweed in my garden, and one of them turned into a chrysalis, and I didn't get to see it. But she said, okay, so you have milkweed in your garden.
Yes, I do have milkweed in my garden. So we live in Ohio, a little bit north of Columbus, Ohio. And we are we just are finishing our 4th year in this house. And so maybe the summer after we moved in, we were putting in our whole garden. And there's a area of the yard that's kind of away from the house, but it gets low. And so it's kind of swampy sometimes there when it rains. Not right now, because we've had a lot of not rain and sun and dryness, but usually this area of the yard is very damp. And I said, this would be a really great place for some swamp milkweed.
Okay, wait. Okay, I can stop right there. Okay, so swamp milkweed, is that different than other kinds of milkweed, or tell me about milkweed, because I remember this as a kid. We would find milkweed, and if you tear off the leaf, it bleeds white milky goo.
Yeah, true. It does. It's a white kind of sappy stuff that's actually poisonous to animals.
Oh, yeah. That would be poisonous to me as well then.
I believe so, but it would probably take a lot to really injure a human. But don't hold me on that.
Yes, no. Yes. Well, yeah, don't try this at home. All right, all standard caveats apply, right?
Yes, exactly.
So okay, so you got swamp milkweed. Is that different than regular farm?
Yeah, I mean, there's something. So in Ohio, I think there's something like 14 or 15 different varieties, or whatever, kingdom, phyla, class, order, family, genus, species. There's like 14 or 15 different species of milkweed that grow in Ohio. And this one is swamp milkweed because it's the one that can tolerate having wet feet. And so I needed to make sure that this was a plant that could handle the deluges that sometimes come through Ohio. So, yeah.
Okay. So no. I keep, the viewers can't see this, but I'm sitting here on the edge of my seat with a million questions. And she's like, let me finish this sentence. Okay. So the thing I knew about milkweed as a kid growing up was that you pull off the leaves, you get this white. Well, I didn't know it was poison. had I known that.
That's why it turned out like that.
Yes, yeah. So I thought you could drink that stuff. So, but it's do not drink milkweed is what it is. Do not drink the milkweed. Okay, so, but the other thing I knew is that monarch butterflies, I think I knew this, the caterpillars not only love milkweed, I think that's all that they eat. Is that right?
100%. Yes, correct. Yes. So
And
the mommy butterfly, when she's flying around and she puts her egg somewhere, it has to be on a milkweed plant. And so somehow the monarchs know which ones are milkweed, all like 14 or whatever types. Yeah.
okay, so that's fast. To me, that's just a
It is.
fascinating thing to think about.
And you know what else is really cool? I mean, so depending how much time one might spend in a garden, when a lot of bugs lay eggs for stuff, they would lay like a bajillion eggs, like all in one spot, like just and a back of a leaf will just be covered. Well, the monarch lays only one egg per leaf on the underside of the leaf, and it is teeny tiny, like super tiny.
Yeah, it's like less than a millimeter, right?
Yeah.
It's like but it's very tiny, but it's visible. I mean, if you know what you're looking for, you can find them, right?
You can find it. Yeah, it's whitish in color, and but she'll lay like somewhere between 250 and 300 eggs during her reproductive season.
No. I read this
Yes.
per mating, and she will mate multiple times.
Okay.
And she will lay. I read the other day she can lay her body weight in eggs.
That's impressive.
Yeah, so that'd be like having a baby that would weigh what you weigh.
Or that they all weigh up. Anyway, that's
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, and nature has reasons for that.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, but the odds, because the odds are bad, right?
Absolutely right. I mean, because if you are a little leaf on the back of a little egg on the back of a leaf, then things might be out there trying to eat you, like bugs that are bigger than you are,
Yes.
birds. The leaf can get mowed down by some farmer mowing out his milkweed, and
even some of your own brothers and sisters might eat you.
Okay, I read that too. If there's not enough milk, like if she lays too many eggs per plant, then they start infighting.
Yeah.
And they do that sort of thing. So okay.
The bigger ones, the ones that are in their fourth and fifth instar, can gobble up the ones in the first or fourth.
Okay, so that's a word I learned this week with prepping for this. Instar is like so this little tiny egg, which is the size, quite literally the size of the head of a pin.
Yes.
It hatches a little tiny larvae, a little baby tiny caterpillar. Okay, but it's like an Eric Carlisle very hungry caterpillar.
It is so hungry, yes.
And it starts eating the milkweed leaf in little.
Get this. First, it eats the egg that it was in.
Oh, yes, that's right. I had forgotten that. Yes,
Yeah.
It eats it might as well. I mean, that's like one of those. Well,
it's got probably a lot of protein in it or something,
Yeah, well, it's
whatever.
Well,
yeah.
I wonder. Okay, there's a study for those of you entomologists out there. There's a study like after they hatch, take away the egg and see what they do.
Oh,
maybe they grow up to be like monsters or something.
Yeah, they might not work right.
Okay, but okay, so but
okay, so do you want me to go way back to like installing the swamp milkweed in the garden?
Well, no, I want to get to this instar thing because it has nothing to do with like stars on your belly, like a star-bellied sneeze kind of thing. It's an instar is a developmental part of the cycle, a phase of the cycle, and there are 5 instars in the monarch butterfly cycle, and those are like times between that they grow and then they shed a skin, and then they grow and then they shed a skin, right? And that happens 5 times before they're ready to do the fun thing, which is what we really want to get to, right? So, and at different instars, they look slightly different, right? Isn't that the thing?
Wow, there's so much here. Yes, I'll just say that the 5th time that it sheds its skin is the time where you see it become the chrysalis.
Okay. So go back. I said you wanted to talk about so did you buy swamp milkweed from the swamp milkweed store, milkweed.com, and you click on varieties and you go to swamp milkweed, or did you like go out to your local swamp and get some feral milkweed or what?
Well, it was much more suburban than that. I went to the area garden store that we have here. What is the name of our garden store? Oakland Nursery on Highway 3637 here near Delaware, Ohio. And
shout out to the people there at Oakland Nursery.
Shout out to the people at Oakland Nursery. They also have locations elsewhere, I think in Columbus and somewhere else. Anyway, so we were shopping for other garden plants, and David was over looking at some stuff, and I was like, oh, I want to get some milkweed. Like, I want butterflies, right? Like,
And he's like, wait, isn't this stuff poison? What are you trying to tell me, right?
Yeah, he's like, this is like just a weed. I'm like, yeah, I know, but butterflies. And he's like, okay, fine, you can have one, Maria. Sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I felt like I was a like kid, and can I please have the candy bar? But anyway, so we got some swamp milkweed, installed it. I don't know, two and a half, maybe 2 years ago, 2 summers ago, and I was all excited. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get butterflies, and no, not the first year.
Wait, so how big is this plant? My recollection is they're regular sized weeds, 2 or 3 feet high, kind of little stalk and some leaves and nondescript kind of things you find along the roadside.
It's pretty much, yes, that's what it is. Not to be confused with the cattail, which
right.
also sort of in my memory of childhood too, with the little fuzzy things on it.
Yeah, but that was in the swampy areas. We did have swampy areas where we lived, but okay, so the milkweed, but the other ones that's in my head are these ones. Are they the ones that when you open, they have this pod, you open them up and the seeds come flying out?
Mm-hmm.
Is that the milkweed?
Very cool. Yeah.
Okay.
So I did some of that. So I've gathered some of those. And let me also, as long as we're back in time here with the installation of the milkweed. So when I was working at the university in town, and my husband was at another university farther away, I would, since there was no one home all day, I would need to come home over the noon hour or thereabouts and let our dog out and kind of take him for a walk and stuff. And I would notice, sort of this time of year, like more like October, beginning part of October, I was like, every time I'd go on a walk with this dog during this certain, period of the month there, I would take a walk and the butterflies they kept going right through this sort of alley. I'm going to call it an alley, but it's not an alley, but a narrow kind of passage up our backyard and through past our garage between our house and the neighbor's house. And then they'd kind of go on their way. And I'm like, that's so cool. I've got like a little butterfly.
Butterfly flyway.
A butterfly, exactly. Butterfly flyway. And, there were some others in the neighborhood, but I could just kind of stand there on the driveway and there would be one fluttering by about every 2 minutes. I'm like, man, this is so cool.
Like butterfly parade.
This is like a butterfly parade. I just go here and they would come on by and they'd hang around and they'd go and
were they like in little butterfly fire trucks throwing out candy?
It was not that.
Little butterfly marching bands? No, none of that. Okay.
Well, maybe they were in their own way, but where I was able to discern that. But anyway, so that had kind of put into my head that, hey, maybe we could get some butterflies if we created the right conditions, right? And I already had other butterfly friendly plants going, like
the butterfly bush.
Like the butterfly, the purple one, and Monarda and some other things that they like to eat and all of that. So, but I didn't have the host plant. And you kind of have to have the host plant if you want to look at caterpillars and if you want to see the development of them. So.
Okay, so you installed the milkweed, all right, about 3 years ago. Yeah. 2 years ago, this is your third September with milkweed?
It's our third summer, yeah.
Yeah.
So we finally this year. Yeah.
And did you find eggs first or did you find caterpillars first? I mean, did you actually find the eggs or did you find caterpillars and realize there must have been eggs?
I found caterpillars and then realized, oh, there must be. But when I would turn leaves over, what I was mostly seeing was a lot of aphids and other sort of buggy things. And, I wasn't really interested in looking that hard for more eggs. So at one point, I'm trying to remember exactly when this was. I may have posted it somewhere either on my LinkedIn or my Facebook or something. One day I was out there and I counted 17 caterpillars on my milkweed plant.
Wait, you have one milkweed plant?
Well, they kind of spread a little bit. So maybe there might have been 3, which everybody who may be listening, you should really have at least 6. I've learned this year.
Six milkweed plants?
Yeah. Like what I had was not enough to support the ones that were like by the end of this thing, there's no leaves left. I'm just going to say.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, and there's some other tips too that maybe we'll get to at the end, about how to make sure you have enough milkweed, and then some other plants that aren't the host plant, but that they're going to need later. So yes.
So is there a special place, like you had the swamp milkweed in the swampy area?
Yeah.
Are there different varieties, like some like shade, some like sun, some like wind, some like living on the sidewalk, or?
Yeah, I mean, so what I had was Asclepias incarnata. That is the swamp milkweed in Ohio. A lot of people, you'll see Asclepias tuberosa. That's the ones with the little orange flowers. And those can tolerate drier conditions. So again, just the best thing to do is look at, of course, Dr. Google can answer all of this. What type of milkweed grows best in, put your state or your region of your state to find out what works best for you.
Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. So you got the milkweed. You don't think you had enough of it. You noticed this year, at one point, 17 unique caterpillars.
Yes.
And were you able, when you first saw them, you were like, oh, look, I have caterpillars. And then you were like, oh, they are in.
I was like, oh my gosh, caterpillars. Yeah. I jumped up and down, ran in the house, told David.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, so did you realize at that point, we were like, oh, these are in the second instar, or these are in the third instar? Or...
Then I had to learn, because I didn't know any of that until the summer. So, and I'll just say, I'm really at the beginning of my learning here still. And because, I've been also poking around, and there's like this Monarch maniacs of Ohio that are out there, right? There's like clubs and groups and people and all of this. Some of these people raise like 300 caterpillars in these little teeny tiny, like a salad dressing cup, when you go out to eat and you're like, could I have dressing on the side? And sometimes they give it to you in this little cup. Mm-hmm. So people will go and they'll wait until they have eggs on their milkweed, and then they'll take the leaf and then they'll cut the leaf so it fits in the container, and then they keep it safe or something. I don't understand the whole process, but some of these people are raising like 300 monarchs on their property, at a time. So, but that's not me. I was just kind of doing like natural, like, let's see what happens. And wow, how about that? There's caterpillars, and some are really small, and then some are really big. And how about that? And then I started learning about the different, the phases and stars, and what happens when they get to be the big guys.
Okay. So they get to stage 5. Okay. And that is the big stage. That becomes you said the word chrysalis, which is the pupal stage for the butterfly. And what it's amazing to me. We did all this stuff. Remember Don Friedman's nature study class? I'm sure we studied all of this in nature study class in summer school. But my recollection was wrong. My recollection was that they just kind of sit there a while, and then they just kind of morph. Yeah, that's the right word, right? They just morph into this chrysalis, but they don't. Every time they change instar, they shed the skin, which is like a scene out of Men in Black or something like that. The skin sheds, and it slits up. It slits off the back and then pulls up, and they kind of like the next thing is inside, just waiting to be released. And the last thing after stage 5 is this pupal stage called a chrysalis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a couple of cool things. Let's see. So stage 5, I knew I was really interested in stage 5 because that's when the exciting thing, happens. I mean, getting bigger and bigger is also exciting, but so I would go out and I would sit there and stare at this back corner of my yard, right? I'm sure the neighbors thought that I was crazy for a couple of weeks, because I would just go out there and I'd stand there because I was looking at these plants and trying to age my caterpillars, right? Like classify them into what stage they're in. And so here's a fun fact. One of the ways, or probably the most important way, I'm going to say this as a novice, but it seems to me that an important way to stage your caterpillars is to look at the length of their tentacles.
Now, for those of you who aren't watching this at home, she has her hands on her head like little horns, okay? And she's wiggling her fingers back and forth to make the tentacles. But you can imagine, like, if you're driving right now, just if you're on a straight stretch of road, you can do this by yourself. Take your hands, put them on your head, and make little horns, little tentacles. But they grow these little like antenna things out of their head, right?
So they look like antenna, but
what are they?
They're not. They're called tentacles.
Okay.
Tentacles. And they have them on the front, which
Mm-hmm.
are generally, or I think at all times, larger than the ones they have on their rear. There's
Oh,
also
they have them on both sides.
they have on ends, yes.
Both
Uh,
ends, yes.
yeah, and so they have like much smaller ones on their little tail end. So when each time that the caterpillar molts and goes into a next stage, they get, I don't know how this really works, but their tentacles are a longer length. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So one might think, oh, the tentacles just grow as they're growing through the instar. No, like the instar, they are of a fixed length during that instar phase. So when you get, like, the way you can tell if it's a fourth instar, I'll start with three. It's a third instar if the length of the tentacles goes right to the end of the head, like only as far as the head. It's fourth, and yes, you can see me doing this right now. You put up your tentacles and put them right to the end of your face. Now your third instar. Now make double that length from where they come out to the end of your face, and then like that length again. That's fourth instar. Fifth instar is like triple length. Okay, so 3 times the distance from the base of the tentacle to your face. 3 times that would be the length for a fifth instar
Okay,
caterpillar.
and that's the last caterpillar instar, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was always looking for my longest, physically, the bodies of the caterpillars are the longest and the fattest, somewhere between 25 millimeters and 45 millimeters. Okay. Yeah. So
Okay.
good size. And then I'm putting them up again. The tentacles are the longest. And a really cool thing. So we were just saying that they're not antenna, but only in the fifth instar do they actually put them down, like I'm going to say on the ground, but onto the surface of where they're walking. So they reach around with them, and it's like they feel with them, especially right before they get to do their big deal. And I'm going to talk about that more, but I'm going to wait and see if Rafe has a question.
No, Rafe, Professor Maura. Okay, so do those? Okay, so they make these tentacles, and that's a big. But their stripes also change color. The patterns change a little bit. I think I read something. It doesn't really matter. There's some little changes. There are little changes, and you can the takeaway is you can stage them if you know those characteristics. Yeah. And they spend a couple days in each of these phases, right?
Correct. Yes, and the amount of time they spend in each phase is determined also by the weather and how cool or warm it is. If it's cooler, it takes them longer. So, but somewhere between like 3 and 5 days per instar.
Okay, so, and then when they change instars, when they shed when they shed a skin, at least up until before they go to the pupal stage, and we're going to talk about that's a special stage. But do they just kind of step out of the old skin? Is that it, or do they shake it off, or do they?
They play Taylor Swift, shake it
yeah,
off.
Yeah.
Shake it off. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
That's not. I have.
But you didn't see that happening.
No, I did not.
And you didn't see any skins lying around underneath the bushes.
Where it's the outdoors. It's
okay.
Yeah, because so unlike what we did in science class when we were kids, and do you remember the caterpillar in the coffee can, right? I mean, like
I do remember we did put a caterpillar in the coffee can, but after we took out the coffee.
Yes. I kind of thought that maybe everybody did that as a kid, but in that case, you could see when, also all of their caterpillar poo would end up at the bottom of the can. But if they were also molting, the skin would fall off, and you probably
I guess that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, but in nature, which is, as I was saying, I left all of my caterpillars on their plants because I wanted to make sure that they had enough food to eat, and then. That's why I was kind of searching for those that were at fifth instar, because those were the ones I wanted to rescue, because I was noticing. Oh, and I use the term rescue intentionally because I was noticing that they'd get to 5 and then they'd be gone. I'm like,
do you know where they went?
So here's the thing. All right, here's the fun fact now about
which bird came to get them.
Well, so maybe.
Okay.
But the really interesting point is that when they are ready to go do their thing and they've had enough to eat and they're fifth instar and they're like, yeah, I'm ready to go do my next stage, they leave the host plant.
Yes,
They
I read that too. Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, they leave the milkweed. So they were wandering off. And I have no direct evidence to support this, but I read that they can travel up to about 30 feet to go find the place where they're going to pupate.
And they want to find a place, a place where they can hook up underneath it, right? So like the
Correct.
bottom of a fence rail, or was it always a leaf or a stick
Like,
or
yeah,
a
a bottom of a fence rail works, a bottom of a deck, a porch top, any sort of like roofy thing, like something where they can get under it and affixed. So sometimes it can be plants of other types. You're just not going to ever see, at least according to what I've read, you're not ever going to see or rarely ever see a chrysalis on a milkweed plant.
on a milkweed plant? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
And so go ahead.
so you might, and this is where I need to continue to rebuild my garden. Not only do I want to install more milkweed of some additional varieties, I also need to add some additional types of plants that could provide that sort of shelter for the chrysalising process, the pupating process. That are within 30 feet. So I was starting to feel really guilty because these little guys, these big guys, they'd be like, okay, I'm setting off. I'm gonna,
You're
get
like,
that.
good luck. We'll see you later. And yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, now they're just wandering across expansive grass. And I hope, like, I don't know what happened to them. So the whole thing about odds, like lots of eggs because they set off to find somewhere to pupate. And what if they don't find a place? I don't know what happened.
They run out of energy, or they run out of something, or they want to pupate and they can't find a place. So they just kind of keel over. Okay. So you rescued some.
Yes. So I was starting to feel responsible.
Aren't you? Like, there's your Catholic school upbringing right there. Yeah.
Like, oh no, my caterpillars. I had 17, right? And then all of a sudden they're growing up and they're leaving home, and I'm not seeing any chrysalises around. And I'm searching. Trust me, I was looking all over because we had, compost bin was over here, and we do have a fence, but it's like an aluminum fence. It's that black aluminum. It's not like a rustic wood. What is it? A split rail. It's not like a split rail log fence. Split rail.
I would call it a split rail fence.
Split rail fence. Anyway, and there are a couple of conifer type shrubs, but I think they're a little beyond the 30 feet. So anyway, I was starting to feel like, oh no, I have to intervene with nature, right? The butterflies. So I, of course, went to, I didn't first go to Amazon, or maybe I went to Amazon first. And then I tried to get one from like Ace or something closer by. I was looking for a little habitat, a little enclosure in which I could put the 5th instar caterpillars, and in which they could do their pupating and then become their butterfly.
You needed caterpillar condominiums.
I did something like that.
Yes. Okay.
So it was Amazon to the rescue, and I ended up getting one. Like I said, they kept leaving the home, and by the time I figured out I needed to do something, this was last Saturday. So I got this thing delivered to my house, and so I set it up outside and put some rocks put a paper towel in the bottom of it. And what does it look like? It's a little pop-up, those, when kids go to college, they now have these like pop-up laundry hampers that kind of, they can collapse.
Sure. Yes.
It's somehow, they put some kind of spring, I don't know, it's like a tension plasticky thing in there. So anyway, they pop up to make for easy shipping, and then it pops up. And, it's the outside is like a mesh, but a very fine mesh. Like a laundry bag is like a wider mesh, and this is much more fine, so that wasps and other bad bugs can't come in and do things like lay eggs in your caterpillars. So I got this thing set up, and I went down to my milkweed plants and took one of my 5th instar little guys and put him. I cut off part of the branch, wrapped it in a damp paper towel, put a rubber band around it, put it on a rock inside my enclosure. And so he was on there, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. There's one.
Go ahead. Go.
Do your thing, right? So long story short, I started with the one, and I only did one at a time because the other ones weren't as big. So I was able to kind of pace what I was doing with the maturation of the ones in situ. So put him in there and fed him for, I think, only about 2 days. And then after a while,
You feed him by throwing extra leaves in there?
Yeah, I mean, he had enough leaves on his stick that he rode in on. Yeah, to last him as long as he needed. And I looked up, like, do I need to put out water for him? No, you do not. They get enough watery stuff from the sappy milkweed, white milk sap.
Oh, that dangerous poisonous sap to us is good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So, and because if you were to put like a dish of open water in your enclosure, they are so stupid that they could fall in and drown. So,
well, they are caterpillars.
They are they're not really sentient beings. So, anyway,
not really.
Not really. Yeah, yeah. Not at least not that we know yet.
Sure. Yes.
Okay.
And you rescued them, so they owe you. Okay. Yes.
So I'm just not going to drown them. Anyway, so he at one point it got on to be towards the endish of the day, maybe 6 o'clock, 6:30. And all of a sudden he's just like, I'm done. I'm out of here. And he, like with dispatch, he moves off the stick that he was on and he crawls across the bottom of the little enclosure and he goes up the side and he kind of makes a lap or two around the top of around the outside loop of the top
of the ceiling, on the ceiling.
The ceiling of the enclosure. And then just stops moving. Just, I'll say lays there, but basically he's upside, he's like with his feet, he's like,
suspended.
Yeah, suspended upside down. And I'm like, okay, nap time, whatever, because they do take naps, by the way, while they're eating. They'll be like, eat, and all of a sudden just stop.
Well, that's what I do when I binge eat.
Just eat a lot, to take a nap. Eat a lot, take a nap. Okay. So he was up there for about a day. And then, so here's the things that I was looking for that I learned first from the internet. When they get ready to pupate, they will go from just all of the feet, on the ceiling to hanging by their tail end in a upside down, like they look like a J, like the letter J. Okay. The way they do that is first they spin some silk up there, a little silk pad. And so they kind of hold on to that. Okay.
I read, I read that little, the attachment point.
Yeah.
If you zoom way in on that, take your fingers and do that thing like on your camera, right? It's like Velcro.
It's very cool.
Yeah. It's like Velcro. Yeah.
Okay. So they hang upside down for somewhere. And again, a lot of this I think is weather dependent, how warm or cool it is. So they'll hang upside down in that J shape for somewhere between 12 and 24 hours. And then they do their thing. Okay. So now.
And it's very fast, right?
Oh my gosh, it's so fast. All right. So he was up there and I knew at some point he was going to do his thing. And I was looking, I think he did it like real early in the morning or something. I didn't see it. So by now I had gotten the other guy into the enclosure and then the third guy. So I had 3 total. And so the first one's already a chrysalis. And then I can't remember even how this ended up. Long story short, what you're looking for. Let's get to the headline. What you're looking for if you've got a caterpillar in a J shape. The tentacles at the front of the caterpillar
we're back to the hands on the head here with this.
Hands on the head. Okay, so now pretend you're upside down. Okay, so be an upside down caterpillar with your tentacles. When you first go upside down, they're still kind of pointing like out in front of you. Okay. But as you get closer and closer to pupating, they'll fall more like directly towards the ground. And they get to where like all the air has been kind of taken out of them. They get really like deflated and they kind of get twisty looking like a ribbon. And then apparently what I've read online, then that the big phase change is going to happen within about the next 90 minutes. So was it yesterday or the day before? I was really paying attention to my last one because the first 2 did their thing and I missed it. And I was like, no, because I really wanted to see it. So I was checking him maybe every 20 minutes after the weather warmed up in the morning. So we got to the stage where the tentacles were hanging flat, and I'm just really just out there watching this thing. And then he started moving in a way that I had not seen it move before, with sort of some undulations that started up at the tail end and were kind of just rippling down. It was like he was
Like a peristalsis kind of thing.
yes, very much
Just
like
little,
that.
yep.
Kind of rippling down. I'm like, okay, I've not seen them do that before. Maybe this is it. So I turned on my camera on video and I held my camera there to watch it through the camera lens and while I watched it live because I really wanted to see it with my own eyes, and was able to capture this caterpillar shedding its skin. And the way it starts is it has a little crack, a little break in the skin down towards the head end. And then somehow they just shimmy the skin back up towards the top at the point where they're hanging. And
then it falls off.
Well, so, and it will fall off, but only after the caterpillar also, so he's been hanging by something that Rafe said was sort of like a Velcro thing. And that was part of the, I'll say like the old caterpillar, right? If you see any photographs of a monarch chrysalis, you'll see that it's suspended from something that looks like a little black post. This is called, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but like cremaster, something like that. And so this little cremaster is a little black post that comes out of somewhere near the tail section, and it has a hook on the end of it. We can't see the hook, but it has like a little hook on the end of it. And so this thing comes out, it's right as he's getting to the top of shedding the skin, and he will pop that thing, that cremaster, right into the silk pad that he spun earlier, the previous day. And as he's wiggling, and once he gets that post in there, then the skin somehow falls off. Like, I don't know. Yeah. So if you slow down the video and really zoom in and look at that intensely and
yes. So this video, and you can find these videos on the internet. People have done this before, but you sent me an original, which I thought was really cool. And it was remarkable to me. She said, oh, here's a video of my monarch caterpillar going in. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's a video of my monarch caterpillar going into its chrysalis. And then I thought, oh God, I'm going to watch this for 45 minutes or not. No. Under 3 minutes. Under 3 minutes. And that to me is such a remarkable, that there are things there's only one thing that I've seen in nature that really points me to the concept of a discontinuous function. Okay. And that is when the moon completely eclipses the sun. The environment goes to a stage that I did not anticipate based upon where it was just before. You're at 90%, 95%, 97%, 98, 99, 99.5, 99.9. And you're like, okay, I think this is where this is going. When it gets to 100, it's completely different. This is close. Okay. This was such a remarkable turn of events. In 3 minutes, this caterpillar that just looks like a caterpillar, it's not complete discontinuity, but man, it is steep.
It's really close.
It is really close. And then it becomes this chrysalis, which I read today is a word that is sometimes it's called an aurelis, which means that it's gold. Okay. And apparently a lot of butterfly pupae things, these chrysalises, are gold. And that's the Greek word for gold. And it's an amazing color.
Yeah.
It's like, if you had to think up a new color, there's a place to start, kind of like on that one. And there are little dots on it.
I love the little dots. Yeah. These just beautiful gold dots on the chrysalis. Almost as if you took one of those teeny tiny little paintbrushes from, when you were a kid, dipped it in a vat of gold leaf and just plop, just these teeny little dots. And of course, the one that is sort of in a line, set of dots that's in a line near the, maybe 3/4 of the way up to the top. And then there's also some random ones along the outside. So one more quick thing. The other thing that I noticed is when they first take the J shape, there's still just the regular color, like yellow, black, white, whatever, the stripes. as they get closer and closer to doing their thing, shedding their skin the last time, I was able to see, and not everybody may be able to see this, but you can really see through the skin and see the greenish hue near the head end of the caterpillar. So like the first couple of white stripes were no longer really a white color. They were, I could see the green underneath. But so that's
Okay.
a good takeaway. And not only do the front tentacles lose their robustness and get deflated and twisted, the back tentacles will also sort of collapse like that. And if you see both the front and the back tentacles are collapsed, hang around and keep watching. It'll be right here.
Yeah, this was a remarkable video. So now this thing, as we speak, this chrysalis is hanging in, along with two of his friends, are hanging in the butterfly enclosure that you have. Are there more destined to be in there soon?
No. These were, because these were the last 3 of the 17.
Wow, just in time. Okay.
Yes, I was like, Amazon, get that thing to me overnight. Like, I mean, as I said, I had to intervene. They were all like going away. So
that's why we have same day delivery. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the chrysalis, and now what's happening inside is what we call metamorphosis, right? It's changing. It's completely changing itself from,
there's some parts of it. You can Google this if you're really interested. From what I've read, which was very little on this part, like all the same, like heart and guts and stuff are still like the heart and guts, but they kind of get rearranged and stuff. Like I have no idea how this works. It's craziness. Yeah.
So how long is the pupal stage? 15 days or something?
10 to 14, again, depending on the weather. And so we're having some pretty cool nights, or there've been, it's been in like the low 50s. But now, like today, it was 80 something. In the last couple of days have been 80 something. So it will be somewhere between 10 and 14 days. Yeah.
And then the butterfly will emerge. Yeah. So, okay.
He will eclose. That is the name.
Eclose. Is it pronounced ECLOSE? Eclose?
Yeah. I've not heard that word before. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then you will release it from its cage, I assume.
Yes, because they're going to be very hungry. And if they say that, like, if you don't plan on being home, or if you're worried that it's going to come out, before you can get to it in 12 hours or something, you should put some of its favorite flowers or maybe a little dish of sugar water there in the enclosure for it, because they're going to be hungry when they get out.
And they're going to go after flowers. They have that, that butterfly tongue, and they're going to suck some nectar out of flowers. And when will they start to migrate? Immediately?
I don't know how long they hang around until they go, but we're definitely getting close to the time, right? So
it's getting cool. It's getting cold. I mean,
it's getting cold, and this is September, late September. 10 days from now is early October, and if we go back to my dog walking story, this is the time when I would see these butterflies come.
Wow.
Through. So this is also, if we want to talk big picture about the great, the migration. So this generation right here that we're seeing now, these ones that I'm helping bring up in my little enclosure, they will make the journey.
They will actually make it to Mexico.
They will try their hardest.
Okay, yes. So if all goes right, they'll make it to Mexico.
Yes.
But they will lay eggs along the way, or
no. Right now, they're from what I understand, is this is the fourth generation. What do you call it? Breed or not? A brood, whatever. A set of hatchlings. Okay, and this fourth generation will go from these northern climates all the way to the mountains of central Mexico. Okay, and they will live somewhere between 8 and 9 months, which is super long compared to the first, second, and third
broods.
Yeah, broods. Yeah.
Yeah. So what you're saying is the butterflies that make it to Mexico, they don't come back. Their offspring, it takes 3 sets of offspring. Their children's children will be back at your house.
Correct. Yeah. So these ones they're not even for lack of a better term, they're not fertile right now. Like they don't go into reproductive stuff right now. Their main job is to get themselves to Mexico where they'll overwinter and they will roost along the way. Have you ever seen a picture of a tree where monarchs are roosting? So there's, 10,000 monarchs in a tree. And they need to do this. They actually keep each other warm.
Yeah.
Because it's cool here now. So there's actually a tree. I just found this out about maybe 20 minutes from here where they've been roosting at night on their journey. So we may go. They might be done. I don't know. Anyway, so they'll make the full trip. They'll hang out in Mexico over winter. They'll keep each other warm, and then in like maybe March or something, then they have the baby thing. And I'm trying to remember I think they get kind of into like northern Mexico, and where they reproduce, lay eggs. And then then the first generation, then there's second and third that kind of work their way back up the country, work their way up north until we again have a fourth generation that makes the full trip back.
Wow. Well, that is
Crazy.
The video. I was thinking about having you on to talk about this when you first mentioned that, and because you had mentioned that. Sorry. My monarch caterpillar turned into chrysalis without me. And then you had one, so I was like really interested in like where'd you get the enclosure and the whole story. So this has been fantastic, and if anybody wants to follow this further, we will keep track of this. We will. What do they say? We will follow your career with great interest, young Padawan. That's what Palpatine says to Anakin. Do you remember that?
I don't think I saw that one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, but we'll track this, and we'll get an update maybe sometime, and we'll have another discussion on this. This has been great. If you are in Ohio, look for monarchs, and any tips for aspiring monarch butterflyerists.
Well, I'll offer that I did put the video of the caterpillar shedding its skin and revealing its chrysalis on my Facebook page. So you could always go to my Facebook page, Maura Donahue.
Yeah. Okay.
Take a look. Yeah. Take a look and give it a like. Maybe we'll go viral.
No, that is wonderful. Thank you for sharing the video originally. Thank you for sharing your afternoon here to discuss this. And all else is well with you, I assume?
Yeah, life's wonderful.
That's good to hear. That's great to hear. So for the rest of you out there, you know the shtick here. Seek the good, live virtuously, and flourish, and enjoy the adventure of life.
It's going to be a great day.